If you're just starting out on MoCo and don't know what build to go with, these are the best beginner gear sets to make your life easier. First up, we've got the glove build, aka the Techno Fists. The main idea here is to take advantage of unstable laser, which gives you a 20% chance to deal bonus damage. Now, when you pair that with Explodomatic Trigger, every time you kill something, it will explode and deal damage to everything around it, helping you clear mobs or even damage the boss. This works really well with vitamin shots since extra health is nice, and the attack speed boost means more lasers, which means more explosions, which means more damage. Pepper spray and the smart fireworks are a really nice addition to this build because they round it out quite nicely with some additional AoE damage. This is a good early game build because you unlock everything quite early on. It's easy to play since you don't have to worry too much about your positioning because the shots will always be bouncing from target to target, meaning you will always be hitting the important targets. It's good for leveling up and roaming around the world, and it's really easy to make small changes to make it more efficient in other parts of the game. For example, if you're going to be in the dojo, you might want to be taking the vampire teeth instead of the R&B mixtape, or if you do rifts, you can replace the vitamin shot with other damage ability. Next up, now portal kinda sucks unless you have unstable lightning paired with it, which does unlock at level 18. This passive gives a 20% chance to deal extra damage to enemies that you hit with your gadgets. The trick with this is also that when you get to do your combo attacks, it triggers your most right gadget for free without even pressing it. So you want to be doing as many damage instances with your gadgets as possible. It's about doing damage to everything all the time, especially since the weapon itself doesn't do a crazy amount of damage. For this reason, it's pretty good to pair it with the smart fireworks. These smart fireworks launch 5 individual rockets that are also able to do AoE damage. Another favorite gadget for this build is the pepper spray, and the reason why the pepper spray and not the boombox is because the boombox only hits your surrounding enemies once, whereas the pepper spray has multiple ticks of damage in that one hit. You will end up hitting each monster multiple times instead of once, and each of those hits has a 20% chance to do damage. The last gadget that I like to add to this build is the multi-zapper. This one does 12 hits upon activation no matter what, and it's particularly strong against bosses. And like before, that's 12 hits with a 20% chance to do extra damage. Now, how to choose which one of the abilities is the auto ability on that right-hand side depends on what that you are going to be doing. If you're taking this build against some bosses, then the multi-zapper is the best one for maximum single target damage. Otherwise, the pepper spray is more for mobs that have mid to lower hit range point. I also like to top it off with Explodomatic Trigger for even more damage and R&B Mixtape for sustainability. So at this point, this build is kind of good everywhere. It's good for farming, it's good for bosses, single, multi-targets. It just depends on how that you tailor it to the situation. The third build is the CPU bomb build. So this one is really the king of AoE damage. Everything in this build does AoE damage. The CPU bomb has massive damage potential, but the challenge is to funnel your monsters into your explosions and your combo attacks. If you get the hang of it, it does most damage with unstable lightning to benefit from the 20% extra damage. However, Explodomatic Trigger or Auto Zapper are great substitutes. The build is pretty straightforward, but if you need a little bit extra help to funnel your monsters, you can try pairing it up with the pepper spray because that will slow your enemies down, meaning that it will be easier to hit them. The next build is a tankier build, and it includes the wolf stick. One of the main things to consider when choosing items for this build is that they benefit both you and your wolf. For passives, Vampire Teeth will heal your wolf with every swing that he takes, whilst you heal 3 times per shot because each one hits 3 times. With frequent individual hits from your shots and the constant wolf swing, Unstable Laser creates plenty of opportunities to trigger extra damage buffs. Explodomatic Trigger is valuable for countering the lack of AoE that I have in this build, especially against small squishy mobs like the skeletons. Taking out one can set off a chain reaction and clear out a whole group. However, if you are facing single target bosses like Big Papa, it is better to swap this for the Auto Zapper. For gadgets, I like to bring spicy daggers when fighting single target bosses, since the wolf excels in these situations. This boosts both my and the wolf's damage by 25% for a few seconds. The life jacket is useful for protecting both of us when targeted by bosses, and the vitamin shot increases overall damage by speeding up attacks speeds for both me and for my wolf. Oh, and since the vitamin shot speeds up the wolf's attack speed, it also means that he heals more from the vampire teeth passive. The next build is a full healer build, so don't expect to be doing any damage. Your job is to keep the team alive. Obviously, we're gonna start this one off with the Staff of Good Vibes, Splash Heal. The life jacket is very important here since it does give you invincibility for a few seconds, which is huge against bosses that target you. If you go down as a healer, the whole run could be at risk, so survival is key. The pepper spray is also useful as a healer. Not for the damage, but for the slow. Slowing down those enemies that get a little bit too close can be pretty nice. For the passives, I am playing Vampire Teeth and R&B Mixtape for maximum survivability because even though healers are great at healing the team, sometimes healers need healing themselves. The Unstable Laser is also nice to add to this build since your combo attack hits multiple targets, giving you more chances to do bonus damage. Note that small changes to any of these builds can completely optimize the build for specific tasks. For example, all of the builds I suggested here use R&B Mixtape because it's much better for team, but for solo play, swap R&B Mixtape for Vampire Teeth for better sustain. If you need even more survivability, you can change gadgets to Splash Heal for team heals or Vitamin Shots for self-heals and faster attack speed. The idea is that all of these builds are playable in most PvE contexts, but are not designed for PvP. Since that comes later, let me know in the comment sections if you are interested in knowing some of the best PvP builds or even more advanced builds. Bye!